Hi, readers. Welcome back to Reading Workshop. We're up to Reading Workshop number 5, and we're still practicing how readers understand their story. You guys have been doing 2 thumbs up. Great job with envisioning, making a movie in your mind, really thinking about what's happening in the story. And in lesson 4, we practiced some of those things. We acted it out, we sketched it on a notebook or a post-it. We thought about how that character was feeling and what they were doing, and we were able to sketch that out in our books. And third graders, you did some really good sketches on your post-its and your notebooks. Keep up the good work. So now today, we're going to learn that when making predictions, expert readers, we draw on those specific details. We get really close, almost looking at it with a magnifying glass. And we're going to tell what might happen later, what we think might happen later. And then those small details, they carry big meanings. Therefore, your Walt and your Wolf, we are learning to make predictions. Expert readers always draw on these type of specific details that we're talking about. So the predictions not only tell the main things that are likely to happen later in the story, but they also include details about how some of the things might happen. So not just, oh, I think he's going to fall off the wall, but like, oh, I think he's going to fall off the wall by tumbling and he's going to crack and it's going to be a tumble, something like that. How and what. So what your teachers are looking for is for you to look at those small details that carry those big meanings and use those to help you make a prediction. And you're going to ask how. How is this going to happen? So what is going to happen and how? Those are the predictions that we're working on today. So expert readers, we're always making predictions as we read. We're also excited to hear how your envisioning and sketching went yesterday and for the past couple of days. You could share now with a partner, teacher, family member, friend. So take a minute just to share, how does your envisioning or sketches go from the book you read yesterday? Good. All right. So now we're back, and now we're going to lift our level of reading by making predictions. All right. So let's think about this very carefully. We're all experts. We're expert readers. We predict as we read. We look closely at the details in the story. And we do this to help us truly understand it. Expert fiction readers, we turn our brains on really high to really understand that story. That way, we're accountable to that text and we know exactly what's going on in the story. So we're going to tell what might happen next or later in the story and how. So we tell what might happen next and how. Here's our anchor chart. Readers understand a story by giving themselves a comprehension check, thinking, what mind work is this text signaling me to do? And today we'll focus on predicting what will happen next based on what has already happened. Then we're going to think about, oh, stories usually go like this. Like there's a beginning, we learn who the characters are, we learn the setting. And then in the middle, there's always like a problem, a climax in the story. The character has to figure out what to do. And then usually there's a conclusion, like a solution, sometimes resolution at the end of the story. So that's how stories always go. So I know in my predictions, I'm going to use what I know about how stories go to help me make a good prediction. And then we also empathize with the characters. That means we feel how they feel. We understand how they feel. Okay. And this is where this video will be. So predicting is something that we always do, right? We're always giving ourselves that comprehension check. We sit down to read in our reading spot, and we're going to think about what mental movie we can make in our minds so that we're acting it out in our minds. We're using the pictures to help us. Sometimes if it doesn't have pictures, I have to visualize really truly on my own and then collect information that I'm learning. Now, when it comes to predicting, right? We're doing that mind work. We read it. Oh, wow. Now we're at the next part of the story. What has already happened is what we're thinking of. What you know about how stories go, there's always a problem in the middle. In the beginning, we always meet characters or we know the main characters. There might be supporting characters. And then I know that at the end of a story, the problem usually gets solved. So I know how stories tend to go. I know there's main characters, a problem, solution. And then we empathize with those characters in our predictions. Like, I know this character was feeling so sad. They're probably going to react this way. They're probably not going to want to go to this event because they're feeling so sad. We know empathizing with Ray, he didn't have pants. We could feel how nervous he was. He had to be the ring bearer to bring the ring to the groom, and he had no pants. So we felt that. And then the relief when his grandpa Half Moon gave him his pants to wear so he was still able to do his job at the wedding. So that's empathizing with the character. We understood how Ray felt in the book Indian Shoes. So these are the type of details that we think of and we hold on to in order to help us make that prediction. Expert fiction reader predictions. So watch how I do this mind work, readers. And you guys are expert readers, so I know this will be easy breezy for you. I really want you to think about how expert, like researchers, what they've said about what fourth graders need to be able to do. And when thinking like fourth graders, we do this type of work that we're learning to do today. So think about a weatherman, right? A meteorologist. If he was to give his prediction of the weather by looking out the window and saying, it's going to be a hot summer day today, and leaves it at that. You would want your weatherman to be more specific. You would want your weatherman to give you more details. It would make you feel more confident in his prediction because he's giving you specific details. He's telling you what, he's telling you how. So we want more information like the moisture in the air, or here's a low pressure zone. So breathing and the air pressure is different. Only then can his predictions be more grounded and more specific. Something that we could really trust. All right, so now we're thinking about Indian shoes. Earlier in Read Aloud, you read a portion of the book where Ray needed to do a painting and he was going to have to turn it into a contest. So now we're going to think about making those type of predictions, what is going to happen and how. And we're going to use what we know about how stories go, right? And we're going to use what already happened in the story to help us come up with a really good prediction. So I'm going to go back to that part of the book that we left off in Read Aloud. And let's see and listen and watch. I'm going to model for you how I'm going to make this prediction. So let's return back to Indian Shoes and let's pick up where we left off. And let's see how Ray might come up with a new idea for his painting. How might he get it done in time for the art contest? Okay, then we're gonna try and dig up some specific details to help us answer that question. Okay. I'm thinking about how Ray has tried several options that didn't work out. He doesn't have a lot of time. The contest is coming up quickly. That's a problem, right? That's how stories go. And I know that characters, they tend to use what's around them to solve problems. So what can Ray use around him to solve it? I know that in his case, he has moccasins. Um, he's already tried that. So, hmm. Oh, he tried to paint one, but it ended up looking way too big, like a blob, a big potato. All right. So now I'm just thinking about how characters solve problems. You know, the next day after Ray's first try doesn't work out, he tries again. And he looks around his house for inspiration. Um, oh, he finds the book about dinosaurs and uses it to paint a T-Rex. That I remember that didn't work out either. But it actually makes me continue to think about like maybe he's going to use something else around him since he keeps using his surroundings to come up with ideas for his artwork. Hmm. Who might he turn to help him? Maybe Grandpa Half Moon. Grandpa Half Moon helps him a lot, and he's very helpful. He likes helping. Hmm. But how could Grandpa Half Moon help him? So we kind of know Grandpa Half Moon probably is going to help Ray out because he's always helping him out. But now we have to think, how is Grandpa going to help him? So we, in our prediction, we're thinking, what is he going to do? And we said, oh, Ray's going to ask Grandpa Half Moon to help him out since the other ideas around the house didn't work out, right? And now we're predicting, how is Grandpa Half Moon going to help him? So I'm thinking, well, he encourages Ray and even promises that win or lose, they'll get hot dogs to celebrate. Okay, so that makes Ray feel a little better. Even if you don't win this contest, we're still going to celebrate you. So that makes Ray a little less nervous. Um, Grandpa Half Moon has some ideas probably for Ray. He's going to give Ray some ideas, definitely, because Grandpa Half Moon has wisdom. All right. So right now, we're thinking what's going to happen is that Ray is going to ask Grandpa Half Moon for help. Okay. And how it's going to happen, they're going to talk for a little while, and Grandpa Half Moon is going to give him some new ideas about his painting. And then Grandpa Half Moon might even help him get it done on time. Like he might pitch in and paint for him and help him paint. Okay. So we know for sure, we know one thing for sure. Ray is going to solve this problem because he is so determined. He even says, maybe I'll win a blue ribbon in that part of the story that we read earlier. Okay. So readers, do you see how I used all the details to help me make higher level predictions? I considered how the characters might figure out how to solve this problem. Not only what they were going to do, but how they were going to do it. This is something that we're going to do. So, as we think about the character and his traits, we know that Ray is very determined. I used that also to help me make a prediction based on his actions and what already happened. He's very determined to find a solution and to make things work out. So I used that to help me make a prediction also. I also know other characters in the book. Grandpa Half Moon is very helpful and is going to help Ray. We know that. So that was part of my prediction. All right. So readers, it's your turn. I modeled how I made my prediction based on what we read earlier in this part of the story of Indian Shoes. I'm going to read another portion of the story, and now you're going to make those high level predictions. What you predict is going to happen, and how do you predict it is going to happen, right? Or is it going to get fixed, depending on what you're predicting. All right, readers. So are you ready? Remember to pay attention to those details, right? Remember to think about how stories go. Remember to think about what already happened in the story and the other resources that Ray has. Okay, so what will happen next? How is it going to happen? Keep that in mind. Listen as I read. You're making your prediction. What's that? Grandpa Half Moon asked, wiping up the water that had spilled onto Ray's desktop. Ray pulled his blanket up to his chin. I've got only 1 day left. I give up. Ray half expected Grandpa Half Moon to give him a pep talk. Instead, Grandpa answered, too bad. I sure was looking forward to that hot dog, win or lose. But I guess we won't be going downtown at all then. So I'm seeing Ray is sort of turning to Grandpa Half Moon, not really looking for help, but actually trying to give up. So this isn't really turning out like we thought it would, is it? Yeah. All right, let's continue reading. On Thursday night, Ray carried Bandit into the family room, filled a Dixie cup with water, returned to his own bedroom, and locked the door behind him. I've come this far, Ray thought. I might as well see it through. He wanted that hot dog, and he didn't want to disappoint Grandpa. So it's true. Ray has come this far. We did say he's very determined. So we were right about that part. We knew that because he was so determined, he wasn't really going to give up. Okay, what will he do? What do you think? What are you predicting right now? You can share with a partner really quickly. Take 1 minute just to quickly think, what do you think he's going to do? And if you already have a how, then how do you think it's going to happen? Good. Sounds interesting. Okay, let's continue reading. Let's see. As he set the cup down on his antique desk, rain began to whisper against the stained glass window. The shushing sound made Ray settle down a bit and rethink how he wanted to go about putting together his contest entry. He stared at his ruined masterpiece, still sitting in the middle of his desk. The night before, Grandpa just hadn't had the heart to throw it out. Amid the dry brown puddle, Ray could see a bit of the gold of the sun, the red of the brick, and the green of the leaves. He set the painting to one side, then got out a fresh piece of paper. He glanced around the room and noticed that Grandpa's moccasin was still perched on his bookshelf. For a long time, his gaze shifted between the blank page and a ruined picture. Ray thought back to how he'd wanted to do a painting of one of Grandpa's moccasins. That way, he figured, it'll kind of be like the picture belonged to both of us. Then he took a sip of water from his Dixie cup and began digging through his desk drawer for the rounded scissors and a bottle of glue. I'm not going to show Grandpa when I'm done, Ray thought. I'll let it be a surprise. Oh, so now that I'm thinking about it, he's still determined. We were right about that. Ray is very determined. He didn't ask Grandpa Half Moon for help after all, so we were wrong about that. We thought he was going to reach out to Grandpa Half Moon for help. Instead, he's planning a surprise. Okay. All right, let's keep reading to see if we get more information that will shed light on what Ray will do next and how. Put your thumb up when you have an idea. All right, listen in. 2 weeks later, Ray and Grandpa took the rattling L train to State Street. Stop by a hot dog stand for lunch, and then join the sidewalk crowd gawking at the city's best kids' art, proudly displayed in a fancy schmancy department store window. Ray's entry wasn't a painting, it was a collage. That last night before the deadline, Ray had turned his ruined painting into something else. He used his rounded scissors to cut the painting into geometric shapes. With his pencil, he outlined the shape of one of Grandpa Half Moon's moccasins. Then he filled in the outline with multicolored shapes to create shadows and textures to show how warm and strong the moccasin was, how it could make Grandpa feel like home. A dab of glue here and there, and suddenly Ray had created his entry. But that's not what made Ray smile. It was the way Grandpa pointed and yelled to the crowd, "That's my shoe! That's my shoe!" Everybody in the crowd looked down at Grandpa's boots, and they didn't know what he was yelling about. But Ray did. Even though his ribbon read third place, he felt like a first place winner. Wow. All right, so I know your thumbs are up, right, about those predictions. And if you were right, or if you have an idea, yeah. All right, so maybe take a minute, talk with a partner, share your ideas that you thought of, your predictions, what's going to happen next, how is it going to happen. Good. So we really use what already happened to help us figure out what was going to happen and how it was going to happen. And that's what we do when we're making those high level predictions. So good job. So now readers, something interesting happened just now. All of us really, we all predicted that Ray would complete his project into the contest and win. You use your knowledge and how stories go, how usually the character deals with difficult situations and challenges, and things got worse and worse, but then they turn around. So we use what we know about what happens in those stories, those type of stories, to figure out that, yeah, he was going to win because he didn't give up. So when we're predicting, readers, we're expert readers, right? I know we are. We think about what will happen next and how it's going to happen. We pay close attention to details, right? I paid attention to how Ray acts as a person, who he is, his traits. I paid attention to knowing that if he's already using all of these other things around the house, that he might try to keep going. And I paid attention to those details that Grandpa Half Moon usually always helps Ray in these situations, and that he would help him create the artwork or even help him draw it. So we noticed what happened, and then we also think about how that main character influences and what he does that affects the story. It could also be other characters that affect the story. It could be external or outer factors that impact what happens in the story, or even his own personality. And this time, it was his own personality, him wanting to be determined, him not wanting to give up. He made it work, and he came in third place. So our predictions, we used details, we did that. At first, we were wrong about Grandpa Half Moon helping him. Grandpa Half Moon actually said, "Oh, we were going to get hot dogs, but if you want to give up, okay." But then that motivated Ray to want to even do it even more. So don't forget, readers, we are expert readers. We don't just read as fiction readers. We do the intense mind work as we read. When you're reading, you can use this anchor chart about readers understand a story by, right, to help us know what mind work we should be using and to help us understand a story. When making predictions, you're going to decide what you want to hold on to So we held on to the fact that Ray is determined. We held on to the fact that he's going to get this painting done. We needed a little help with the how. So as we hold on to that prediction, we think about how is he going to do this? And we try to really make a higher level prediction using all of those specific details and how stories go. So your next step, readers, you're going to read now for 25 to 30 minutes. You're going to log your reading after you're finished on your reading log. And remember, sometimes your predictions may be wrong, but that's the work of a fiction reader. Remember, wrong, we switch it, we change it, we use what's happening in the text to make another prediction that makes more sense. You're going to see an activity called practicing predictions, which is just for you to think and keep thinking about how those predictions should go. All right, readers, until next time, see you in Reading Workshop. Bye.